Hey guys, it's me, Miss Norris, and today I'd like to share a fun read aloud with you of the story Hucklebug. Hucklebug was written in 1975 by Stephen Cosgrove and illustrated by Robin James, and it's a great story about a little bug named Barry. If you're ready to hear the story, I'm ready to share it with you. Here we go. Hucklebug. And this is a nice book because all the writing is on one side and the pictures are on the other. So I can hold it up a little bit closer so you can see the pictures a little bit better. On a bright spring morning in a small village of Hucklebugs, in someone's backyard, Barry Hucklebug was born. There was nothing different about Barry. He was ordinary and fun-loving. For months and months after Barry was born, he played with the other bugs of the village. They would play hide and go seek and hucks and robbers. So you can see here's a little village of Hucklebugs, and they are playing and having a good time. Sounds like a good life. Early one day, Barry was called before the mayor of the little village.
"Barry," he said, "you are of age now, and you must work as the others of the village do. Food for all must be gathered by all."
"Me?" said an unbelieving Barry. "But I don't want to. I want to stay with my friends. I want to run and play in the sunshine." Sternly, the mayor looked down at Barry and said,
"Everyone must work in this village, and you are no exception. Please start tomorrow morning, that is all. You may go now."
So the grown-ups of the village, the boss, the mayor, says, "You're old enough to go to work now, and everybody who eats here works here." And Barry says, "No, thank you." Now, I don't know about you guys, but if one of my grown-ups said, "It's time for you to do something," and I said, "I don't think so," I do not think that it would go over very well. Let's see what happens. Sadly, little Hucklebug walked back to his playmates, but since the mayor's news, he didn't feel like joining his friends. So Barry sat in a corner and pouted. "What am I going to do?" he said. "The mayor's picking on me because I'm small." Suddenly, an idea came to him. "I'll run away and live by myself. Nobody will bother me then." And with that, Barry went straight to his room. He rummaged through his butterfly wings and old bumblebee tails until he found his yellow bandana. Carefully, he laid it on the floor and began packing. Dun, dun, dun! Do you think Barry should run away from home just because he doesn't want to work? I don't know. He packed his hand-knitted antenna warmers for cold winter mornings. He packed his favorite red t-shirt with the big, bold gold bee. And last but not least, he packed his new orange sneakers for special occasions. Then Barry tied his bandana into a careful knot, threw it over his shoulder, and slipped away from the village. Oh no! Do you think Barry's going to have a great adventure? Or do you think it might be a little scary out there by himself? I don't know. The farther he went, the happier Barry became. There were beautiful flowers all around him. He saw forests of silver blue grass and a blue sky overhead. "What do I need that old Hucklebug village for?" he laughed brightly. "Out here I have everything I need." And, snickering, he added, "and there's no one to tell me what to do." Once or twice he came upon some of his fellow bugs gathering food for the village. As soon as he saw them, he would quickly jump behind a tall weed. From there he laughed and sneered at them. for they had not thought to run away. So these are some other people from Barry's village, and when he sees them working, he hides in the bushes and kind of teases them, laughs at them, because they weren't as smart as him. They didn't run away from the village. After a time, Barry came to a rise in the path. Creeping slowly to the top, he discovered a furry caterpillar crawling along. Down below him, he saw a giant's house. "Wow!" exclaimed Barry. "I bet it would be a lot of fun to go down there." Just then, the caterpillar turned and frowned at the runaway.
"If you're thinking of going down there," he grumbled, "I'd think again."
Laughingly, Barry twisted the caterpillar's antenna together. Then he raced down the hill to the huge house below. "That dumb caterpillar didn't know what he was talking about," he said. "Nobody can tell me what to do." So the caterpillar said, "Don't go down there. It's a little bit scary." And Barry said, "What do you know?" And he twisted his antennas up and hit the road. He ran, jumped, and giggled onto the lawn, and there he found the most amazing toys that he'd ever seen in his entire life. There were gigantic squirt guns and mammoth baseball gloves, which were large enough to live in if you wanted to. He saw a beach ball that was at least 100 miles high. Barry felt as though he had found Hucklebug heaven. So there's water guns and baseball mitts and a baseball that's at least 100 miles high. This is amazing. Barry climbed to the top of the beach ball and began bouncing up and down. He was doing flips and jumping so high, he didn't notice that the door of the house was open. Some giant kids were coming out to play. Dun, dun, dun! You need a little drama there. You think the big giants are going to be nice to a little bug? Now think about it for yourselves, you human beings. If you came out to your yard and you saw a little bug on your beach ball and playing with your toys, what would you do? The beach ball went flying. Barry went flying. The kids were playing kickball. Barry picked himself up from the cool grass. "What was that?" he asked. Slowly he turned and for the first time saw the giants. "Whoa! They are big! But maybe I can play too!" With that, he ran over to join their fun. But the giants didn't see him. Barry dodged from side to side. He managed to avoid being squashed by shoes as big as his house in the Hucklebug village. So Barry thought, maybe I can play too. But they didn't even see that he was there. And their shoes are as big as his house. "Hey, kids!" he shouted. "Can I play too?" The giants were so busy laughing and giggling they didn't even hear him. Just by chance, one of the giant boys spied Barry standing in the grass. Carefully, he leaned down and looked Barry right in the eye. "What a funny-looking bug," he said. Then he called to his friends to come and look at Barry. Now, let me tell you, Barry was a little scared. In fact, he was a lot scared. He wanted to run away, but the giants blocked his path. So now that they finally noticed him, he's kind of wishing they didn't notice him. And he's trying to run away, but all of the boys, all the giants, maybe there's girls too, are all standing around him and they can't let him get through. How would you feel if you were just a little guy and people wouldn't let you get past? With a mischievous grin, one of the giant boys pointed his squirt gun at Barry. Barry caught a full blast of water in his fuzzy face. He was really scared now and started to run away. Every place he turned, there was a giant trying either to step on him or to catch him. Scrambling over a leaf and under a twig, Barry tearfully made his escape up the path. So, all those big giants weren't all they were cracked up to be, and it really scared him. But he finally managed to start running up the path. Puffing and panting, he found his way back up to the top of the hill. The old caterpillar was still trying to untie his antenna, so Barry untied them for him. "You are right, Mr. Caterpillar," said Barry. "I shouldn't have gone down there. I'm confused and I don't know what to do. It was a mistake to run away from home. Now I'm so ashamed I can't go back." Barry leaned against a toadstool and began to cry large, purple Hucklebug tears. So, how many of you have ever made a mistake and you want to try and change it, but you think, "Oh, it was such a big mistake, no one will ever forgive me"? Well, that's what Barry's feeling right now. But the wise caterpillar smiled a little smile and said, "Well, Hucklebug, if you've learned from your mistake, it is not a mistake, but a lesson. As you grow older, you'll make other mistakes, but never be afraid to admit them. Go home now and do what needs to be done. Always remember the lesson you've learned today." Barry wiped a tear from his eye. Then, thanking the caterpillar for his kindness, he headed home to the Hucklebug village. So the caterpillar was very kind to Barry, even though Barry had been kind of mean to him to begin with. But he did untie his antenna, and the caterpillar said, "If you've learned from this, then it's not a mistake, it's a lesson." He walked through the beautiful flowers and the forests of silver blue grass. Entering the village, he bravely marched up to the mayor and said, "Mr. Mayor, I'm really sorry for running away. I've learned from my mistake, and it is a lesson I will always remember. I promise that I'll never run away again." The mayor patted Barry on the head and told him that he was forgiven. Since he had run away, though, he would have to work an extra day as punishment. Then the kind mayor smiled and told Barry to play for the rest of the day. Barry Hucklebug gleefully skipped away to join his friends at home. So I think that another lesson that can be learned is that we all make mistakes. But sometimes if you're honest and you just say, "I made a mistake," it'll be easier to be forgiven than if you try and lie about it. Mistakes are always mistakes, or so I've heard them say, but if it teaches a lesson, the mistake will go away. The end. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you really enjoyed the story of Barry Hucklebug and learned a little lesson yourself about how you can turn a mistake into a lesson. And if you enjoyed this story, please hit that thumbs up button at the bottom of the page. If you are already a subscriber, thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. If you are not a subscriber yet, please click that subscribe button down here at the bottom of the page. And don't forget to click the bell so that you're notified when there's new content. I hope to see you all again real soon. Bye-bye.